Hi, I'm Tonya Caruso. Welcome to Comcast Newsmakers. Should Pennsylvania go to 4-day school days and work weeks? Joining us in our studios this half hour is State Representative Jesse White. Thank you so much for coming in and talking with us today.
Always a pleasure to be here.
Okay, so we're talking about a 4-day school week. Is something that you want to look into?
Right. What we're looking at right now in Pennsylvania, you have to kind of be able to frame the situation. You know, we're looking at a situation where in the state budget, school districts across Pennsylvania, particularly in small rural areas, are being forced to raise property taxes to the limit and cut teachers, programs, extracurricular activities. So, you know, my thought is if we could find any way to try to cut cut the overhead to be able to maintain those core services for students, that's what we should be trying to do. And
so where do you save money in this scenario? Is it on utilities? What?
Well, the study that I want to do, and I want to be clear, this is just to have a study done to check this out. We're not looking to make any dramatic changes until we know what the effects would be. But there are a few areas that we would want to target. What we would want to do is we would want to look at the effect on the utilities, the transportation, food service, teacher staff salaries, labor contracts, retirement and pension benefits, and all the different legal considerations. That's part of the financial end of it. And because you're dealing with a school week, you know, that obviously has an impact on families. So we're going to be looking at the advantages and the disadvantages for students, for teachers, administrators, staff, things of that nature. And then we would want to look at some of the social considerations for students, which would be things like student fatigue, class disruptions, disciplines, you know, extracurricular activities, things of that nature. So there's a lot of different aspects to this.
So what is sort of the plan? A special committee comes together and begins this process, and what's sort of the timetable?
Well, what we would do is we would direct the Legislative Budget and Finance Committee, which is a very good nonpartisan branch, to get together and commission this study. They would have a time frame to do it, anywhere from 6 to 18 months typically. Something like this might take a little bit longer because you're going to want to hear from a lot of stakeholders in a lot of different areas to be able to look at these models. Now, one of the things that we'll be directing them to do is look at how this has been implemented in some other states, look at some pilot programs and determine, is this something that could be done short term, long term? Is it an experiment we should try? Is it maybe something that might be better suited to rural districts versus urban districts, or vice versa, to kind of develop a blueprint of, is it feasible, and if it is feasible, how would we go about trying to implement it?
And so you said other states have done this.
Yeah, this has been done in some other places, and this is where a lot of these ideas are coming from. Is, you know, we're looking at you know, for all the talk about the budget trouble Pennsylvania has, you know, we're actually in pretty good shape. You know, a lot of people don't realize a lot of the political football that gets thrown around as we're in a deficit. We're really not. Pennsylvania is required by the Constitution to have a balanced budget every year. The challenge that we run into is, how do we make sure that we get the most bang for our buck? And in this day of looking at trying to consolidate and be able to be more efficient and reduce overhead, these are some of the things we should be looking at.
So let's move to that, to the discussion also along the same lines of the 4-day work week. And I said to you, is this just you trying to get out of work?
Tony, how dare you? No, no. What we would be talking about in a 4-day work week, and this is one where actually there's a lot more concrete examples. In Utah, for example, this is something they implemented a couple of years ago. They took the 3 branches, the executive, the legislative, and the judicial. They moved them to a 4-day, 10-hour-a-day work week, and they found over, I think, $10 million or a $6 million cost savings in energy cost in the first year alone. They found it to be generally more efficient. The employees liked it a lot more. And more importantly, the constituents liked it, because what it did was it made services a little bit more accessible to them, because you have a lot of people that are working 9 to 5 or 8:30 to 4:30, and their schedules don't always jive with a regular government schedule. So it made it a little bit more accessible to them.
But you think you'll do the school study first, and then this will come after?
We're actually going to be we have both bills introduced at the same time, and the 4-day work week study actually could be done through the Joint State Government Commission, which is an internal branch, could be done a lot quicker.
Wow. We thank you so much for coming in and talking with us today. Certainly interesting ideas. Do come back. We'll continue this discussion.
Be glad to.
Thanks for coming in. I'm Tonya Caruso. Thanks for watching Comcast Newsmakers. We'll send you back now to HLN.